Okay, so which body of water is made of the cryosphere? If we remember cryosphere, that's ice. So what do we think? What has something to do with ice? Here, I'll even add that too. Cryosphere. Okay, so if your group said glacier, you were right. Right. So, like I said for the notes, ice. Some people count it as part of the hydrosphere. Some people count the cryosphere as part of the hydrosphere because it's water, right? And then some scientists kind of separates it into its own world, giving it a name, the cryosphere, the ice world. So, two different, I guess, perspectives. But either way, we do know that water, frozen is ice. So that's why there's that kind of like this debate. So that's why I told you guys about both sides. That some people think can classify the cryosphere as part of the hydrosphere, because it's water. And then some people think of it as a different one. Okay. Oh, yeah. And to explain like the exosphere, since we didn't cover that and the Blue Kit did have it, exo means like outside. So exosphere means everything outside the Earth. Yeah, great questions. And then which body of water? Which body made up of water is part of the cryosphere? So kind of similar to the first one, we look at something that's like ice related. And that, and I see ice cap right there. This one's a little trickier, but if we remember cryosphere, which one is part of the cryosphere, we try to find something that looks like ice and permafrost, right? Frost is ice related. There's a way I can keep the highlighter on. Okay, so which event is caused by gravity? So it would be this one. Let me find a picture of the aquifer. Mhm. So y'all have the link to the study guide, right? The study guide that you made with your group? Just checking. Because, like, you'll take the test later after this, and then this will help you a lot. Or if, you can also write it down on your notebook too, whichever works for you. So here's just an aquifer. That's just kind of like a pathway of water down. So when water, it's gravity helps push the water down and creates this here. It's kind of like underground water kind of thing. Another event caused by gravity. Water moves from the atmosphere or from the ocean to the atmosphere. So that's kind of going up, so it can't be that. Water exits a leaf through transpiration. In a way, water exits a leaf through all different directions. So it's not necessarily just gravity. So gravity, with gravity going down, we'll kind of look for something that's going down. Water falls from clouds as precipitation. Yeah, right. The clouds kind of form and then they get heavy. And soon water will result in that. My highlighter went missing. Oh, here. Oops. Not that one. This one. Moving on, which event is caused by gravity. So if you're a group, which one's this one? Water running from a drainage basin into a wetland. The basin is like this gigantic kind of like bucket of water that's holding in the water, and then gravity helps push it down and push it into the wetland when it's being drained. Okay, so this one we didn't go over, but through research, cirrus is the ones that are mostly made up of ice crystals. And then the type of clouds are made up of both liquid and ice crystal. That's a cumulonimbus. And then stratus is the one with just water. So cirrus, only ice. Cumulonimbus, both ice and water. And the stratus is just water. Okay, and then which two statement? Let me just click this up. Okay, which two statements describe the ocean floor? I'll try to slow down a bit, but I'm trying to get in as much, go over as much so that you can have more answers on when you take the test. So have the document out in front of you so that you can just go over what your group went over last time. Okay, so which two statements describe the ocean floor? Let's fix this a little bit. Okay, so like we learned in last unit, unit 4, remember that there were volcanoes under the sea too. Let us see. And there are long underwater mountain chains. Not mountains, more like volcanoes. Right? Remember the Ring of Fire has only smooth surfaces between continental shelves. Most likely. Or it's covered with underwater forest of tall trees. So for sure not that. There's no trees down there. And the continental surfaces aren't smooth. Well, I guess then that can make it A then, because when the volcanoes are dormant, I guess they are considered mountains. Okay. Okay, so then we're going to do two more statements regarding the ocean floor. True. There are more active volcanoes underneath the water than there are on land on the continents. And What are they gonna be like this? Go. And there are deep trenches. Remember when boundaries, when plates converge, they kind of collide together and that creates a little hole. That forms the deep trenches. Okay, so which two statements again describe the ocean floor? Okay, so there's a whole bunch of volcanoes, right? Like the Ring of Fire. And those are formed by plates diverging together and pushing up. And so there's underwater plains near the coastline of some continents. Yeah, not A because there's chains of volcanoes and there's chains of mountains, but there's none that are like. So I can't send you the Google Doc. Oh, you want the Google Doc that's not. Okay, let's find that. Because you're going to have to fill it out yourself. But let me see if I can. Like, if you worked on it, it's the last one that you worked on with your group. Last class. So it should be that recent one. Okay, so there's the blank Google Doc. Just click make a copy so that you have a copy. I think that can be quicker if you just go along and put the answers or highlight the answers too. Yeah, I know this is faster than usual, but if I don't go fast, then I can't cover the rest, right? And then you guys wouldn't have as much. We wouldn't be able to cover as much. And then you wouldn't be able to do your test as much. So maybe help each other out if, like, I moved on and someone around you did get the answer, help them out, let them know. Okay, so yeah, I put the link in the chat for the blank copy. Just click File, no, file, and then make a copy so that you have your own copy. But yeah, and these questions you went over last class with your group. Remember when you were put in groups and you kind of try to figure out what the answer was? So it could kind of be something you've seen before already. So that's why I'm going a little faster too, because you've already seen it. Okay, so 5. So we're like almost halfway there. So why does the Atlantic Ocean have higher? So salinity is just like more salt. More salt. Okay. So over the Pacific Ocean, there's more rain. And with more water being added to the Pacific Ocean, that makes the water, the salt water dilute more. You know, if you have like salt and the more water you put, the less salty you'll be. So that's why the Atlantic Ocean has more salinity. Okay, so where are you most likely to find ocean water with the high density? So high density means the most salt, because the more salt there are, the more density there'll be, because the salt, when it dissolves, it adds to the mass. And say near the polar region, it doesn't rain as much as the others. So then with less rainwater diluting, they would have the most salt. So what is one reason that the surface water at the equator is less dense, so less heavy, than the surface water at the poles? It's not A, because more precipitation. Well, less precipitation would make it saltier, but the equator has more precipitation. So if anything, everything along the equator has like the most rain. That's why they're also very humid and hot, because so much water. So not the cold rain, the hot rain, which isn't fun. So they do receive the most sunlight, which makes the water warmer. And when the water is warmer, it evaporates. When it evaporates, it forms the clouds and then it rains down. So that's why I'm saying with the heat, the warm rain. when with the water evaporating more too, that makes it less dense because some of the mass is being evaporated up into the air. So the Gulf Stream is a surface current, kind of like a little wave that carries water to the northern Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so what are two factors that can cause the change in motion of these surface currents? So when wind pushes on the water, right, that's going to change the way that it's moving right now. And when it hits a barrier, right? Because when it hits a landmass, it's gonna stop and stay there in a way. So the current kind of gets discontinued. So that's why, like for some of the coastal states, having more of a landmass can stop some of the, or just not stop, but try in an attempt to stop or slow down like hurricanes that are ongoing that are coming at them. So it's kind of like a barrier. So it should say means describe forces that move water within the global ocean conveyor belt. So the global ocean conveyor belt is what we just saw here with this movement. And I guess the idea of the conveyor belt, if you had sushi and you saw it getting moved around the restaurant, and you can pick and grab. So same thing. It's like a conveyor belt that's just moving around. So similar to like what we answered up there, wind can move and push the water around. And when water freezes, it also like preserves the salt, right? That's why sometimes for food, when we freeze it, we preserve it past the expiration date. So, anyways, freezing keeps in all that, everything. So, including the salt. And we know that freezing also changes the liquid into a solid, so that makes it heavier. And things that are heavy in water will end up sinking. Okay, so two primary forces behind ocean currents. Wind. Wind plays a big factor. and the density differences in water. Right, with like the heavy water that's frozen sinking down. So kind of like to help scientists kind of track like how are the currents moving, or do we have an incoming storm, do we need to worry about like an underwater volcano. So there are remote sensing satellites just kind of there underwater to track the data. So they can track what the depth of the ocean floor is, they can track the movement of surface currents, and they can gather data on the water temperature, but they can't grab like a sample of living things. And that's, also not ethical either. We don't need a sample of living things. So, yeah. So you'll see a picture of the remote sensing satellites. Okay, so this is the remote sensing satellite. It's all the way from in the exosphere outside of Earth, and super cool that it's able to like go all the way down. And let me just put that as the choice and sense the depth of the ocean floor, the water temperature, and the movement of surface currents. Okay, real quick, 7C. We just talked about remote sensing satellites. They can track the change in ocean surfaces. Okay, well, guess we only got to 7, so there's a couple we couldn't get through, but I'll give you some time to take your Unit 5 test. Okay, it should be unlocked.